Hello everyone, Xenia's here. In this video, I'll tell you about colors in Procreate as well as the tools and options you need to know to start working freely into the app. If we go to the top right, you'll see a round icon with the color. That's where we go to pick the colors, and that's where we can invoke the color panel from. The color that you see onto that icon is an active color, the one that is selected right now and the one your brush will have. If you worked with one color, then selected another, worked with that and having a need to get back to the color that you used before, hold the icon for a few seconds and you'll get back to the previous color. Also, this icon I mentioned before will help you to fill the areas on your canvas, separate objects or a full canvas with color. This is called Color Drop. Tap and hold the active color and drag it to the area you need to recolor. Color Drop has an option of controlling how much fill will bleed into and over the edges of your work. That is called the Color Drop threshold. The lower the threshold, the smaller areas the color will fill up. For example, you have an outline of a circle and you would like to add the color inside. Low threshold can lead to having some space between the line and the actual filling, so the object won't be solid. If you increase the threshold, you can avoid it. But here you too need to find a balance. The high threshold could break through the line and fill the neighboring areas. To activate threshold, drag the active color over the area you want to fill, but don't release it. After a moment, Color Drop threshold will be activated. A thin bar above the artwork represents the threshold amount. Drag your finger or Apple Pencil to the left to fill less area and to the right to fill more area. Lift your finger or Apple Pencil to commit the fill. When we are talking about color, we need to know how to sample them from the canvas. And for that we have an eyedropper. To use the eyedropper, just hold your one finger on the color you want to sample. If it was successful, you'll notice the change in color in the top right. Now let's move on to the color panel. In the top right of it, you can choose two colors that you can switch through. Under that, you have a color choosing part. Also here you have a history panel with 10 last used colors. And under that, you have a palette. Firstly, let's take a look at the color picking options to choose from: Color Disc, Classic, Harmony, Value, and Palettes. You can find these buttons on the bottom of this panel. The Color Disc has clean colors on the ring and the color picker with saturation inside it. The Classic panel has a traditional color picker and sliders with hue, saturation, and brightness. Under Harmony, you can find a few pre-made practical color combinations, such as complementary colors, analogous, triadic, and so on. Under Values, you can find more sliders and an option to use the hexadecimal values, for example from third-party websites and pre-made color palettes. Palettes give you access to sets of color swatches. There are some pre-made by Procreate, and also here you can import palettes and create your own. The current default palette displays at the bottom of each of the above color panel modes. Now let's take a closer look at the palettes. As mentioned before, palettes have saved swatches that you can pick and set as your current color. You can create new swatches by tapping an empty space in the palette. You can rearrange the swatches by holding and dragging them to the needed place. And you can delete the swatches that you don't use. Tap and hold the swatch and choose Delete. You can have tons of palettes for every occasion. You can create new ones by hitting the plus icon in the top right. In a new palette, you can add the new colors and this palette will be set as a default. But it's not the only option of how you can create a new palette. There are palette capture from camera, from file, and from photos. That means that you can take a picture or use a file or photo to create the palettes. Procreate will create a customizable palette from the colors captured within that image. To use the downloaded palette from a third-party site or from another artist, open the swatches file from Files or Cloud on your iPad or drag and drop it from there to the Palettes panel. To share your palette, hit the three dots and choose Share. And that's it for the colors. Hope it was helpful, and if you still have any questions, write them down in a comment section down below. And also, I suggest you to watch my other videos about Procreate that YouTube is suggesting you right now. That's it, see ya!